Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is Saturday, July 18th. Um, and this video is not going up till Tuesday. So I'm getting an early jump on it, I think. I think the video I put up today is going up tomorrow. And then skip Monday and then video to go up on Tuesday. So I wanted to do this while it was fresh in my mind. This popped up on Facebook, I think. Democrats block U.S.-Israel military integration. Now, we all know about this. It's been talked about. I haven't really covered it because, I've talked about it a little bit. But I was thinking about this. Like, think about how fucked up this is, right? Now, for years, you weren't allowed to criticize Israel. I mean, nobody did it in mainstream politics or the mainstream media. Nobody ever brought up the relationship, the dysfunctional nature of the relationship. You weren't able to say things like, Jewish people control the media, even though it was like fact. I mean, there was, there's like, I don't know, 6 major news media conglomerates, and the CEO of every one of those conglomerates was Jewish. And then also the guys running the news were often Jewish, right? And now, Barry Weiss over at 60 Minutes, and Benjamin Netanyahu coming out saying, we need to have some Jewish billionaire, Israeli billionaire, buy TikTok. And saying that we need to pressure Tucker Carlson to censor. So, like, he was just coming out and saying it. But you weren't able to say that, right? Like, you could get community guideline strikes. I mean, whatever it was. Like, it was just stuff you're not supposed to talk about, right? People used to say all the time that, you know who your master is by you find out the people you can't criticize. And you weren't able to criticize Israel, and nobody did. And then the Gaza thing went on too long, and all these young people started to, at college campuses, the whole thing, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Shekels, all the way that went. And then across the country, there was this awakening or awareness or just unleashing a suppression that had happened. And now there's lots of people who are openly against Israel. I mean, is a growing number of people, and it's just out there. It's a part of it. They're talking about it all the time. They're calling it anti-Semitism. And during that time where America is fed up, and most Americans are kind of aware by this point that we're funding Israel and getting nothing back. I would say a high percentage of Americans, the ones who are, aware of anything, are aware of that. Like, it's just out in the open. And during this time when Israel's just committed a genocide, lots of people believe that they killed Charlie Kirk. Lots of people believe, it's pretty much, a fact at this point, that Israel pressured Trump. J.D. Vance just confirmed this, that Israel just pressured Trump into going into a war with Iran, which is inevitably, it's bad for America now and bad globally. And, just so many different ways that this is a negative thing. People are aware that there's never been a time where so much negative energy and negative attitude and so much, people verbalizing this, negativity of this relationship, this parasitic relationship, is being talked about all the time, right? And even a time where that's happening, where TPUSK, which has been primarily about supporting Israel for years, Charlie Kirk, and they recently had, maybe a couple months ago, they had a couple of their chapter heads on a couple of different college campuses, like one on the East Coast, one on like the West Coast or the South. And they were talking about how on the campus, both Democratic and Republican kids are all against Israel, right? So it isn't just one party. And with all that, negativity towards Israel, they tried to merge our militaries, right? Why would America ever merge its military with somebody else? But certainly a small country like this. And during the time where there's the most negativity towards Israel, they're pushing to merge the military, and these people are voting for something that's going to grow in its, the older generation grew up on this idea of Israel and America being allies, right? It's the older people, the older various voting blocs, both Democrats and Republicans. But the younger people, they're over this thing, and it is, there's not going back in the box. And even during, with all this negativity, all the Republican senators voted for this fucking thing. I mean, how fucked is that, right? That it's like, even with all this negativity, they're like, fuck you, we're merging militaries. We don't care what you guys think. Shut up, Goy. Shut up, Goy. We're merging militaries, right? And it's only because of the Democrats, which is bizarre, voted against it. Like, they all unified for this one thing. Like, holy fuck, right? Okay, so today is Sunday, July 19th. And I want to just add something in case I didn't make it clear here. With all this negativity towards Israel and Zionism and all of it, like, which all the stuff that we know, they tried, they got the Iran thing through, which they've been waiting to do for 50 fucking years. It's been on the Zionist Israeli agenda to have America destroy Iran for them, right? So this has been on the table for that many years. And then on top of that, with all the negativity about that, like about the Iran stuff and the Gaza stuff, they try to merge our militaries. And the politicians, I mean, if Lindsey Graham had been there, and I think someone else was missing, they would have had it passed, right? And usually the Democrats would vote for it, so it's bizarre that they unified, because this is like an anti-Trump thing. Because many of these, Democrats, almost all of them, have signed on to be, staunch supporters of Israel. But it shows you that the public opinion does not matter at fucking all, right? And I've said this over and over again. Dave Smith said it when he was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. We win the debate, they win the policy, right? These different groups. It's not just with Israel, it's with all these different groups. Like, even with people being completely aware. So this blows up the whole idea of InfoWars. There can be some war of information. Because even if people know, let's say Americans were 100% against Israel, they still would have passed this fucking thing. They don't give a shit. Your opinion means nothing. You have no fucking leverage. I've said this over and over again. You have no leverage. And so, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't matter whether you get upset or not. Your little protests, your little posts on fucking social media, I can't believe they're doing, whatever it is, doesn't mean anything. They don't care. They're not embarrassed. They don't care what you think. And part of that is, which I've said many times before, we've reached the part where it doesn't matter because they're so desperate. They have to do whatever they have to do. They don't care if people like it or not, because the system's going to collapse, so they just want to make sure that they end up with more than everybody else when the dust settles, right? So that's whatever. They're in desperation mode just like everyone else. All right, let's move on to the next thing here. So I've talked about this before. Here, why does Erica Kirk's brother, Travis Gunta, look strangely similar to the person in the Utah surveillance footage? Here he is over here again. Erica's stepbrother. So I've talked about this before. They're really putting out a lot of bullshit. Like, why wouldn't they know that this guy looked like Erica Kirk's brother? Let's say it is Erica Kirk's brother. Let's say the guy they're calling Tyler Robinson in the videos is really Erica Kirk's brother. And if they are doing that, they're doing that on purpose, right? They're fucking with you. They just, this is about division. Like I said, it's very easy to kill the patsy. We've seen so many examples where the patsy gets killed. They say, hey, there was a gunman, and then we spied him, and they shot him. And it's a done deal. It's a good shooting. There's no trial, and it's over with. So the only reason to have a trial is publicity, and you want to, there's some kind of psychological operation woven into the trial. And that's why these kind of fucking things happen like this. Because, clearly that's, that's what's up. And just everything with Erica Kirk, seems to be fake. Purposeful, intentionally bad. So, Okay, so there's this guy, Grant Plattner. I think he was a Democratic nominee for something, Senate in Maine. And he came under these accusations of cheating or something. I saw a video of his where he was withdrawing basically and saying that he was giving up on this thing because, these were all false accusations, and people are saying Israel was setting him up like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I didn't get into it. I was going to cover the video, but it was on my phone and I never integrated over to here, so I forgot about it. But this is possibly his replacement, right? This is Ashley Webb.
Ashley Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run.
All right, this is a crazy person. Running for office does not qualify you to. That's not part of your qualifications. That you ran for office. Yeah, you can apply for a job. That doesn't mean you have the qualifications, right?
Times didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And
Well, you're a songwriter? Holy shit, why didn't you lead with that? Wait, you're a songwriter? That completely qualifies you to be a senator.
and I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't.
Wait a minute, because you're kind of lying to everybody here. I mean, maybe you wouldn't call it lying because you had a mental illness, but dude.
Deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like, we get lied to, smoke and mirrors, like what's going on with ICE. Pretending like these victims did something wrong. Like, that's unacceptable.
So you're qualified because you're going to tell the truth about ICE, right?
And I suppose the biggest thing is, like, I'm just an angry citizen now, and if I got elected, I'd be an angry senator, and I think that would probably be their worst nightmare.
Yeah, I think the worst nightmare part, vote for this motherfucker. Find a way to get, I don't know, we should all register in Maine and vote for this dude because this would be a great thing. I mean, like this would be, hey, Fetterman, hold my beer type of thing. I talked about this way back when, just let it happen. I mean, this dude should be president. Make the first woman president, a transgender male. Like throw that in all the feminist faces, all the L's in the LGBTQ, all the lesbians, all the feminists, and have the first woman president be a dude, be a biological male. Like I want that. Like I totally. So I can't tell you how much I want this. Get behind this motherfucker. I mean, if Fetterman can do it, this guy can do it. So this woman can do it. I don't want to misgender this wonderful candidate. So, yeah, but let's. I don't ask for much. Okay, so those of you guys who haven't been around for the past, since about 2 years ago, don't realize how much time I spent mocking Alec and Hilaria Baldwin. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but it happened. It got to the point where I almost felt sorry for him, because he had her, and she's a total nightmare, and he's just a nightmare, and so and he stopped. I used to say, and I didn't know if they watched me or not. I hope they didn't, because it was pretty bad. But I was saying, just stop posting on social media. Like you guys are fucked. You're not going to rebuild your brand or whatever. Just stop posting. And I think, whether they listen to me or not, or they just figure that out on their own, they stop doing it. Because they do shit like this, right? He's just the worst narcissist. The reason I was mocking him was he was mocking Trump, but his impersonation of Trump was just an exaggerated impersonation of himself. The ducky lips that he does for Trump, he also does himself. Trump doesn't do ducky lips. And he didn't have Trump's voice down. So he did the worst impersonation of Trump. And he, kind of acknowledged it. And he mocked Trump, but, everything that he hated about Trump, he himself possesses those same characteristics. Case in point here.
I just wanted to come on here quickly and say how stricken I was to learn of the death of Sam Neill.
Yes, exactly. So Sam Neill just died. You guys worked together, knew each other. And so this is going to be about him, right? It's not.
When I did The Hunt for Red October, we shot in '89. It came out in 1990, a long time ago.
Long time ago, let's reminisce about myself.
And that was probably my first big movie in terms of having a decent sized role, because I'd done Working Girl and Beetlejuice and things like that where I had a smaller role.
But then I had a big role. What was I started talking about? Oh, yeah, Sam Neill. Well, let's go back to me for a little bit of me, and then we'll go back to Sam.
And I do Hunt for Red October, and yes, John is a great director, and one of the most exciting parts of it was for me was to meet Tom Clancy, but the cast. I mean, I've had great casts. I've worked with great people.
I've had me. Hilaria, me, Hilaria, me. Hilaria.
Tony and Meryl and so many other people that I really, really admired and do admire. But my God, Hunt for Red October. I had to write.
How about Glenn Ross, fuckhead? That was your best role. You lucked into it. And that was probably the best cast you could ever possibly work with if you've seen that fucking movie. I mean, But let's talk more about you, because fuck Sam Neill. Fuck Sam Neill.
This down. I had to go to the internet and write. I mean, obviously Sean, Larry Ferguson, Scott Glenn, Tim Curry, James Earl Jones, Peter Firth, Richard Jordan, Joss Auckland, Courtney Vance, Danny Davis, Fred Thompson, Jeffrey Jones, Ron Gutman, Stellan Skarsgård. And that's just, the more recognizable names. There's a lot of other people in there who I enjoyed working with, but my God. What an experience that was. What an experience it was. Gotta get rid of somebody who's calling me. What an experience.
He's calling you to say, shut the fuck up and start talking about Sam Neill. You insensitive bastard. Right? Maybe it's one of your friends going, Jesus Christ, Alex, you're off the fucking rails here.
It was to do that movie with those people. I mean, every time you turned around to do a scene, you were with this great actor. I mean, even people like Ron Gutman's a perfect example. Where I can't even stop thinking. To this day, him he's smoking a cigarette. He's going to do the work for them, the Russians, and he's like, "Una minutka," he says, "Una minutka." Anyway,
it was amazing. I remember that moment. I was like, holy shit, that fucking Gutman. He really is fucking amazing. Maybe we should talk about him for a fucking while and not Sam Neill, because, Ron Gutman also probably is dead.
I know that sounds weird, but it's like, I told you to speak your mind, but my God, Jack. James Earl Jones. Richard Jordan in that scene in the conference room. I mean, everybody. Courtney Vance calling him Seaman Beaumont.
He's got like 7 little kids. He's like 70 now. Like, I think he's in his 70s. And he's just grumpy and angry. His wife's a fucking total disaster and a nightmare. I mean, the worst possible person. And then, he shot somebody in the face. His wife got caught faking an accent. The whole nightmare. And he's losing his shit. Up until this point, I'd only seen the first 30 seconds. So I figured he went back to Sam Neill, right? Like, I haven't seen this whole clip before. And I saw the beginning of it, like, on Twitter, and I went to see if I could see the whole thing. Because I wanted to see, where he went with this. And he's reminiscent about Hunt for Red October. I guess Sam Neill was in there. Maybe did he play a Russian or something? I don't know. Who gives a shit? But,
I remember, that's one of the few movies I've ever done where I remember the whole movie. That's what a fan I am of that work. Not me. I'm not a fan of my work. But
no, not me. I sucked. I mean, I was the worst fucking actor in the world. Like, I'm not, like, self-absorbed or anything, so, not me. I'm so fucking humble. Not me. Like, I sucked, but everyone else carried me. But I
fan of their work. Anyway, oh my God. My God, Sam Neill. My love to his family.
Wow, fucking, that was brutal. Absolutely brutal, dude. You mentioned him in the very beginning. Then you talked about a movie you were, the star of that he was in. I don't think you guys worked together because I think he was the Russian captain. I think, Sean Connery was somebody. He was a Russian. and Sam Neill, I don't think they had very many scenes together, right? And so, he hears Sam Neill's dead, and he goes, "Oh my God, let me reminisce about Hunt for Red October" in his mind. He's like, "Hey, this would make a good video." And he's getting slaughtered on the internet again for being insensitive. Did you shoot Sam as well? Did you actually shoot Sam years ago or intentionally? And it's just come around like he's just succumbing to the bullet slowly moving its way towards his heart when boom. All right.
Rest in peace.
Rest in fucking peace. All right, bro. You still don't get it. Here you go. The caption of this is China definitely runs America or some shit like that. I don't know. Somehow I lost the caption when I opened up the photo. You get it. But China definitely runs America and the world. And so there they are kissing the Chinese Wailing Wall. This is a spectacular meme, so this is genius. So there's a company named Angel Studios that does, I think they definitely advertise on TPUSK, or used to, when they had an audience. And they now are getting like A-list celebrities to do their religious, based movies, Christian-based movies. But this is supposed to be like a spoof on Moses. I'm not sure if I showed this before. I think they did another one on David or something. I'm not sure. But anyways.
From the Lord. You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself.
I don't remember any eagles.
My feet are bleeding.
Just know.
All right. So, what did God do to the Egyptians, right? And so, again, like when you see it, and they're making jokes about it here, but like.
Promised, you say land. Promised.
When I spoke to Pharaoh on Moses' behalf,
I did show this before. You say promise, you say land.
I'm pretty well. Besides the plagues.
So, they're making light of like all this horrible shit that's in the Bible. God's really weird obsession with foreskins and circumcision. Like God didn't say, hey, let me cover the most sensitive part of the man's body and then tell them to cut it off. And have an operation, within 8 days of the baby's birth with no anesthesia. Because it's fucking, I'm sadistic, right? I want you to start off with a fucking trauma like that, right? But when you see how like they're playing out some of these stories, and of course the Promised Land.
I need some advice.
From me?
No, Miriam. From the Lord.
The
Oh Lord, no.
baby my mother pushed down a river became a political revolutionary.
I have spoken.
All right, so they're all like fucking shitting on each other and all this stuff.
But God chose me anyway. It's not about being worthy. It's about being faithful to Him.
Boom. All right, so just so fucked up. I talk about the Old Testament all the time, like it's just fucked. Like it's a fucked up book, and people call it the Word of God, and it's totally not. Like God's not even a character. God does not exist in the Bible. Maybe a little bit in the New Testament, but like, such a remedial, childish version of God. Like the way that you talk to like fucking if someone's retarded, the dumb fucks. It's like, all right, God for dumb fucks, right? It should say let's change the name of the Bible into God for dumb fucks, and it's not just that. There could be lots of various books that's called, God for dummies, but let's call it for dumb fucks, because that's what it is, right? These books that are for, people who don't have the capacity for something higher, like this is all they can do, and that's great for them. Like it's not, if that's all you can do, great, but don't think it's the ultimate, because it's fucking not. It's not even the beginning. It's like an introduction. It's like nursery school, right? It's an introduction, maybe a little bit of kindergarten, mostly nursery school. And then you start moving into where you're learning to read and write, right? Like you're not even literate when you're, able to be a religious person, like the way that they tell you to be one. You just do it or whatever you're told, right? You're a kid, like they can tell you, someone can tell you a story when you're a kid, when you're in kindergarten, and you're like in a hypnotic state. They can say, hey, we're now back with dinosaurs. and you're a dinosaur, and the kid just starts acting like a dinosaur, right? Like when you're a little kid, you're a dinosaur, okay, and they start acting like a dinosaur, and they think they're a dinosaur, right? You know, now you're a jaguar, right? Now you're an accountant. Fuck, what are you fucking doing? I don't want to be a fucking accountant. All right. Anyways, let's move on. I'm putting a lot of content together today, and then I have all Monday off, and I know shit's going to happen. So I'm going to have to add it to the beginning of this video. I don't want the video to be too long. I don't know what to do about it. But, you know, there's a video I got going up tonight, Sunday night, and then Monday off, and then Tuesday. But anyways, I might just cover the Monday stuff on Wednesday. Because what different, you know, I don't break news here. But this is a great ghost. Most tender love story. So there's that. Both Andrew and Tristan Tate have been arrested by the U.S. Marshals outside a private event in Miami, Florida, following an extradition request by the UK government against the brothers on an over 50 charges related to rape, arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation, assaulting, occasioning actual bodily harm, as well as additional charges related to legal child images and pornography. So I only know one thing about Andrew Tate, which I'll show you in a moment. It's a defining thing. I found it again. It's kind of hilarious. But let's go through this other stuff here first. First of all, the fucking way he's dressed. Look how gay he's dressed. I mean, he's got fucking anklets on here. These tight-ass pants. I guess that's his brother. Look at the way he walks. Somebody's taking off his gold chain. So, all right, so that's the first piece. So this is wonderful here. There was a meme that said, imagine going to prison dressed like this. Look at his anklets here. I mean, the guy's like seriously gay. I'll show you the stuff that's there. But he's a weird guy. There was him bragging about his girlfriend saying that she's 21, and they had been together for 6 years. I'm not going to show you that clip because it was all distorted, and you know the video was not very good. But apparently he had this girlfriend that was around for 6 years, and she was 21 at the time. He was talking about her, and he said, "Yeah, we've been together 6 years." So he had this girlfriend when she was 15, some like Russian, Romanian mail-in bride, something like that. And so this is, I mean, just you know. So this is this gay dude and this gay dude and this gay dude here.
Hi.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So nice to meet you. Never meet you. We meet you.
Big fan.
Well, nice
Big
to meet
fan.
you. I'm a fan. You're the one saving Trump. You're doing more important
You're saving Trump.
work than me.
America, not just Trump. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think that your anger is the same that President Trump has for our country. And the time is now for us to stop being wimps. I think that's exactly the right sentiment.
Yeah, like and dress in like fucking ladies' clothing.
And I also have to say that I sympathize with you because I think you go through a lot of the same show me the person, I'll find the crime that President Trump has gone through.
Yeah, you guys aren't criminals at all. You guys are just squeaky clean. All right. So let me show you the thing that I saw, the first experience of this guy, right?
And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking. The girls were just pure, just famoosers, just laughing.
They're famoosers. They're just famoosers.
And doing this, their titties out. And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it. And
all of it, we're taking their money.
They come and say, well, what kind of, bro, all of it. We were fucking milking them dry. Women haven't got a clue how to famoose a dude. They don't
have famoose, dude. They need a guy like this.
Because they rely on their looks. They don't have any of the intellect. They have no game, nothing. Nothing. Nah, you get a man with game and give him a female's body, a female avatar. He will fuck a guy up. I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all of it to me. Give me it all.
So he's bragging like he's a player and a tough guy because he was seducing men. I mean, first of all, he said women don't know how to seduce men, but he's an expert. And so he would have his girl sit there in front of the keyboard and pretend they were typing. And then he would be him and his brother were typing and seducing men. Out of their money, catfishing them. He's bragging like he's some fucking player because he's really good at seducing dudes, right? I mean, he's really good at catfishing dudes and pretending to be a woman and telling them, things they want to hear emotionally and sexually and romantically, whatever fucking bullshit he's good at. Women don't know how to famoose, but he knows how to famoose a dude. He knows how to seduce men. He's good at it. He's been practicing his whole life, right? Like, and this is the only thing I'd ever seen of the guy. I had, no other reference point to Andrew Tate other than this, and I was like, oh my God. Like, there's so much there. For one, he's got these men that these, like, what do they call them? Incels, involuntarily celibate. And he would, that was his audience, but he's the same kind of guys he's scamming. Taking their money, taking advantage of them. I mean, what he's saying here is, fraudulent, and then all the other things he was doing with underage girls. So he's an absolute piece of shit. And Candace Owens loves this guy. It's just like she said, Michael Jackson's innocent, this guy's innocent. He's admitting to crimes, but it's also he's admitting to a certain mentality that he was willing to sexually exploit prostitute girls for their appearance, and then he was willing to seduce other men, come up with ways to, talk to them fucking sexually and romantically, to get their money. And then whatever other pleasure he gets out of it. He's bragging like he's a fucking player, like he's stone cold fucking. He just wears, gay ass clothes and he's just a fucking twit. Okay, so I have, I'm going to stop here for today and then I'll start working on this rest of it tomorrow. Given what I said earlier about this video not going up for 2 days. And so this person writes, sad to see your channel become this. Another male that is a simp for Candace Owens, yikes. Yikes. And you have the audacity to talk about Erica yet over there drinking the Candida Kool-Aid. Tisk, tisk. Tisk, tisk. This is a dude. No, it's a woman. Nobody likes or feels sorry for Erica, Kirk, or Lindsey Graham. Okay, so I don't recognize this person. They claim to have been a fan of my channel before. Sad to see your channel become this. The problem is that the reason I'm putting this down here is, there's another great comment following this, so this is good. The person is trying to say that I am only listening, I'm drinking Candace Owens Kool-Aid. The problem is I called out Erica Kirk on day one. Something Candace Owens couldn't do. Because, she will look like an asshole. And she, sort of had to ease into this, but she always hated Erica from the very beginning because she admitted that later. And so all of us who were seeing through Erica Kirk at the beginning, which was quite a number of us, were like, seeing Candace Owens just know Erica sucks, but wasn't able or willing to say it. And so we weren't drinking Candace Owens Kool-Aid. She was, late to the party. It took her 4 months to go after Erica, right? And so, you could just go back to my videos. I have a whole playlist about this. And the first time I saw Erica Kirk, someone just posted that video of her putting her hand on Charlie Kirk's hand and weeping over his casket and Insigul and the whole thing and that bizarre speech. And I was like, holy fuck, who is this? Right? This is going to be fun. Like, she was so fucking, she's just horrible. And so, Candace Owens, I've talked about how they have a cunt off because she is also manipulating people and she sucks. And she likes people like Andrew Tate and Russell Brand and these other fucking, criminal motherfuckers. But, she selectively tells the truth, partially, and she withholds information and she's just a nightmare. But anyways, people who say tisk tisk and love Erica Kirk are not my longtime viewers. They don't remember when my channel was great for them, because it never was. They're too fucking stupid and too unconscious to ever enjoy anything I do here. Right? So don't pretend you're a longtime viewer. And then this person wrote, it's a Madonna. I didn't understand the comment first. Brother, she DGAF about you. FF, she is immortal. What the fuck have you done in your life? And I'm like, well, that's a weird comment. And I looked over. It's an old video. That's not how you play the guitar, Madonna. She must have been doing it kind of in some bizarre sexual way. I don't remember the video. I think it's a short video. So I looked up the whatever they call that thing. The letters that when they're just shorter. The abbreviation. Bro, she don't give a fuck about you. She's immortal. What have you done with your life? So, I don't fucking judge myself against schools and fucking low-life pieces of shit. Everyone has to, take value of their life. But I don't think I've lived a very valuable life. I mean, I've had a very interesting life. I had, numerous adventures, and, I found spirituality, or spirituality found me, the Sajmark system. And those are all blessings and, great things. Like, I've had a good life. But, I mean, I feel like I could have done better. But, I am what I am. Like, we all have our flaws and things. But I'm not, sitting there going, oh, I have my life is so much more meaningful than your life. I mean, that's not the point why I rag on celebrities. Because what I rag on celebrities about is that fame and fortune is flawed, and all these people become miserable, low-life pieces of shit. And Madam Expiration Date, Madonna, Madam Expiration Date, one of my better nicknames, is still trying to be 25 and reclaim her earlier glory. And it's pathetic, right? Like, you go through stages of your life. There's these milestones. You have these defining stages in your life. Everyone has them. And, there's, I forget, one of those famous psychologists guy had the different stages. I don't agree with his stages, but there are stages. Like, when you're a baby, that's a distinctive stage. And then you start to crawl and you become a toddler, and that's a distinctive stage. And then you're a preschooler, kindergartner, that's a distinctive stage. And then you turn 7, and between 7 and 10, that's a distinctive age. And then, prepubescence is a distinctive age. Then there's puberty, which is a distinctive age. And then the time periods get longer. Like, you have a bunch in the beginning where there are a lot of things that you accomplish, a lot of milestones. And some of these things are automatic. Like, people all go through those stages. Unless they get, fucking dropped on their head or some shit. Right? But, for the majority of people, they successfully navigate those different stages. And then they become an adult. And then a lot of things are by choice. Like, some people never grow up. They stay emotionally in the 8th grade. Or they stay emotionally young. And then you have kids and a career and job, and then you get older, you become a mentor, then then you have these, various stages as you get older, as you go through a dying process. And if you live your life correctly, you move through these stages. But Madonna and these other, Will Smith is another person who's still stuck in some, teenage, young 20s stage, and they're trying to retain that level. When people say, they say they stopped aging at 29. When anybody asks them how old are they could be 60, and they'll go, yeah, I'm 29, right? Like, they don't want to ever admit that they're older than 30. And what the fuck is wrong with you? There's something wrong with you if you're like that. Because, youth isn't a great thing. You're a dumb fuck when you're young. And at some point in your life, you hopefully outgrow being a dumb fuck. At least you minimize it. But we live in a culture that celebrates youth, and we celebrate fame and fortune and all those things proven to make people miserable. You can be somewhat wealthy. You can be well-to-do. You can be someone who has, above average income, money. But when you make too much money, it's a fucking curse. When you have too much money, when you have too much fame, you can have, moderate amounts of these things, and they can be an asset, right? But to think that Madonna is successful, that's not a successful person. And it really shows you when they get older. Like, when they turn into these celebrity ghouls, these politicians and these celebrities and these athletes, and they're, you know, begging for just another moment in the fucking spotlight. Just to know, everyone look at me one more last time. I mean, Alec Baldwin. Everyone look at me. Come on, you guys, look at me. I want to talk about my once blossoming career, right? And because they, you know, it didn't do anything for them. It hurt them, and it made them into bad people. But they just want that last little bit, right? That's how fucked up. It's like like a drug. It's like they're addicted to it. So this dumbfuck commenter, I mean, they don't know any better. Like, they have no idea what my point of view is, and they couldn't even understand it, which is sad because it isn't all that sophisticated. But I would in no way, shape, or form trade my life for Madonna's. I mean, you know, my life could be better, and I hope that people exceed what I've accomplished in my life, especially spiritually. You know, that's what I've said, especially the younger generation. But, you know, I want more people that, you know, I'm not in competition. I hope everybody does well spiritually. But Madonna isn't, you know, doing it. I mean, she's just a mess. Like, they're all a mess. Anyways, all right, let me wrap this up for today, and then I'll come back tomorrow and I'll add to this video. All right. There was like four other memes. This was the best one. But basically the same thing. Like, this is what's coming out, right?
You're under arrest on suspicion of human trafficking and being too damn gay for America. Turn around, hands behind your back.
What? This is a misunderstanding.
And separately, that outfit is a crime against fashion.
Boom. Just spectacular. 100% great. Okay, so I started to work outside, and I just started to get overheated, so I'm going to add a few more things to the video. Look at these fucking, they're just both like the epitome of, like, they're not even human beings, right? They're just...
Speech tonight. He's been in office over 540 days now. If what he says is tonight is backed up by evidence, why hasn't anyone been charged?
Well, he hasn't revealed it yet. He hasn't declassified the documents yet. And
you don't have to declassify stuff to charge people with crime, right? You understand that? You fucking understand that? Right?
we will see what he says tonight, and then we'll move forward appropriately from there.
Tonight from the Justice Department?
I don't speak on behalf of the Justice Department, Caitlin. You know that.
You know that, Caitlin. Fuck you, Caitlin. Fuck you, Caitlin. But that's something that I've been saying forever. You guys who watch my videos, why isn't Trump arrested people? Why didn't he arrest people during his first term? Because he talks shit, and he says these things are happening. He says there's mass crime. Well, let's add to it here, right?
Members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people.
Okay, name one of them. Name one deep fucking stater. Name it, not Obama or not fucking Biden, but any deep stater. Who are the deep state people? And why are none of them in jail, right? So, where he first wouldn't acknowledge QAnon. He was asked about QAnon during his first term, towards the beginning of his first term, and he said something like, I don't know who they are. Basically he hadn't heard of them, but what he said, what I did hear of them is they really like me and they're against pedophiles or something like that. Like, I could find the quote, but who gives a shit? But he wouldn't acknowledge them. But then he started to pander them, and during the second term, he said things like deep state. He started using terminology that was very popular with the Cubies. And, they started to, like, freaking get all excited. Remember the Cubies? Remember when he said, the storm is coming, and they were like, oh my God, the storm's coming. And then he lost, and then all the shit that they thought he was going to do didn't happen, remember? And they all fucking panicked, and they went, that was great. They scrambled like a bunch of fucking rats on a sinking ship. They all went into hiding after running their fucking dumbass mouths for 4 years, for 6 years.
Members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases, in our intelligence agency work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible.
Like nobody thought this was possible. So anyways, why now arrest, right? If these people did work with China to rig the election, right, against Trump, then why no arrest for this? Like not one fucking person, no one patsy you can fucking arrest. There's no arrest at all. And, Trump has control of his Justice Department like nobody's ever seen. I mean, we've never seen a president, because they're supposed to be separate. The Justice Department was not supposed to be working with their president, the guy who appointed them. They do, but not like Trump has got. I mean, they do his bidding. No arrests in the Jeffrey Epstein fucking bullshit. no arrest in the deep state bullshit, the election fraud, all these things. And he has the House, he has the Senate, he has the Supreme Court, he has the Justice Department, and nothing. I mean, he talks a lot of shit, but he doesn't deliver any fucking arrests. Same thing with Hillary. He said he was going to lock her up. Then he said after the election, no, that played well before the election. And then he came out and said, that he straight up fucking protected her. Like, I got a meme. He said he protected Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, please. I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story.
This is about pardoning Hunter Biden.
You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. With Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please. We won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then, after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get. I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States, and then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country.
Yeah, here it is. Your base is dwindling, bro. Make America great again. Make Israel great again. So that's a wonderful meme. Like he said, he was protected Hillary. And he did. He did protect Hillary, right? He fucking protected her and, all the things that go with that. And, that's just facts, right? Those are just absolute facts. All right, I got a few more things I was going to cover today, but I'm going to wait. See what pops tomorrow, and then I might cover those things at the next, there's always, the content's always fucking crazy. The amount of shit that's happening every fucking day. But Trump is like an absolute fucking lying sack of shit, which you guys know. But his dopey fucking supporters will never know because they just can't deal with it. Trump is part of a club, and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are part of that same club. Trump has always been an elitist. He is the ultimate elitist. He said it, before he was elected, and that was almost like part of it. It was like, he's an elitist, but he's going to bring you along. He's going to get you guys, all you MAGA people, you guys are all going to bask in his elite club. Right? There's the rich Republicans, and then there's the dopey Republicans that are, whatever they are, whether they're Christian or whether they're, middle class or whatever, mostly white people. And, there's these two groups. And there's the Wall Street Republicans that really want, the Reagan Republicans that want to be, rich and have these things. And then there's the dumb fuck Republicans who think that they're going to be rich and they're going to be taken care of. And Trump's been taking advantage of those types of people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, for years. People who think that Trump's going to be their golden ticket and he's a cheap fuck, right? And he screws over the little guy and he's done it his whole life. Because he has more power and leverage, and he lies and he flim-flams and he scams and he hawks his bullshit merch and his fucking steaks and his Bible and his phone and his crypto. And then people just keep on buying it because they think he's going to make them rich. But he's using you. You're his mark. You're his pigeons. His audience are the people that suffer more than anybody else. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning, and if anything happens, I'll just put it at the beginning of the video. I'm going to wrap up the end part of this video. So I'm not sure. Is this Owen Stroyer? Was he used to be an Alex Jones person? Is that, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But this idea that MAGA wrecked the conservative movement, this movement has always sucked. And there's no political solution to the kind of system we have, right? Everybody has a choice between embracing their soul or embracing their ego, right? And everybody has moments, the worst people are going to have soul moments. You know, at some point in their life, they're going to have a few soul moments. I mean, even the worst egotistical people come in who lost souls, you know, have sworn off God and are just, you know, they're on a demonic path. I mean, when you embrace your ego, you're embracing the demon within. When you embrace your soul, you're embracing the saint, the angel within, right? And so you have these choices. Everyone has it. And you have these choices on a moment-to-moment basis, and then there is your overall orientation to life, where you have some orientation where your soul connected. And, you know, it's natural to be connected to your soul. You come down here, and there's, you know, ways that that's going to just happen naturally. Your soul and your, you know, like we call some scars, you know, these past impressions from past lives. So if you just live a natural life, there's going to be some soul connection. You're going to be guided by your soul's path. You have things to accomplish, and you're going to accomplish those things, whatever they may be. And, you know, you might get into a fast track, like there'll be some great spiritual practice like I have now, you know, this kind of thing, where you'll be sort of turbocharged to really move forward on your spiritual journey. But whatever it is, it's natural to find your soul's path and connect with God. And so we have a system that has purposely intervened to make that difficult, to confuse people, to make people fucked up, to make people crazy. It's an overall system. And in that system, you have, you know, people, wealthy people and people of power, people in politics, who have figured out a way how to get a better lifestyle. Well, maybe better is not the right word. You know, to glom onto resources through, you know, some form of taxation, right? Which is an egotistical type of behavior. Like, let's say you had a tribe, and your tribe would have rules and stories, and, you know, they'd come across problems. You know, some of the tribe members throughout their history would behave in a certain way. Like, they would behave badly. And so there'd be, you know, you have these laws on the books, like you have these blue laws. Don't bring your bear into, you can't walk your bear on Main Street, right? Like some, you know, you go state by state, and they have these old rules that you can tell, like, where the rule came from. You know the behavior that was done that made the rule happen, right? So you have some, you know, principles and guiding principles in their tribe, in your village. And you'd have some elderly people who were wise and, you know, shaman or, you know, whatever it might be. And, you know, they would just be overseeing things and guiding their people through whatever situations they had, right? And, you know, they were connecting to the divinity within them. They were asking God to guide them and teaching other people how to do that. When they passed away, someone else would be taking their position, but everyone had these abilities to figure out how to be guided from within by God, right? These things. And, you know, some cultures were better at it than others. You know, some people had a better system, but there was some level of that, right? Allowing God and nature and your soul to guide you through difficulties. But then you had, like, people who decided to say, hey, I want all you guys to give me something, right? So some form of taxation. Lords, you know, and in England, you know, some people, they were based in their, you know, lineage, based in their genetics, were somehow considered better leaders. And that everybody would have their own, you know, places, their farms and village, and they all had to give tribute, some sort of taxation, so that the lords could live better. Like, this became a whole, like, system, which is a demonic system, right? And then people weren't doing their primary labor. They weren't doing things for themselves. They had servants doing things for them, slaves, you know, this kind of thing, where people then start living a life that's unnatural. They're not engaged with the process of living. They're having other people do the difficult things, you know, people who themselves aren't capable, you know, people who should just die, right? They're not capable of living a life on their own. They have to parasite off of other people, this parasitic behavior. And so, you know, those are politicians. Like, politicians always gravitate to these types of positions where they can be a part of an abusive system where they're stealing from you in the form of taxes, and they're, you know, bolstering their own lifestyle and their own, you know, power dynamic By doing that, also religions get infected with this. The system of power where they have the collective serving them in some way. Like they just through some bullshit position that they've created, some scam they've created, they get other people to do for them what they should be doing for themselves, right? And they're completely disconnected from God. There could be a situation where you apprentice with somebody and they're teaching you something, you're getting information from them, and you're doing service for them. The young people are helping the old people, whatever it might be, but there's some kind of exchange of some natural component to it where the older people are passing on their knowledge and their experience, and they're guiding the younger people, and the younger people are taking care of the older people in some organic symbiotic way. But that's not what happened, or it is happening. So our whole system after a while becomes corrupt. And when you have a debt-based economic system, like it's all about creating fake wealth, creating an economy and a lifestyle and a orientation to the world to disconnect you from the divinity within. And your soul's purpose gets hijacked, and then everybody's focused on their egos, so you have everybody being a demon, being on a demonic track, right, where you're becoming more and more demonic based in your ego's hijacking of your purpose and your existence on this planet, right? So the idea that there can be a political solution is silly. Like the whole system's fucked. Like the whole system's unnatural, and people are responding to it. And then you have just the lifestyle that you had. I don't know, somebody sent me it. I saw it this morning. Maybe it was just on Twitter. I don't know what it was. But there was a robot. And it was like one of these robots they've trained to do like kung fu or some martial art. And it glitched out, and it's just kicking the shit out of everybody. It's trying to turn it off, But that's what we have, like in our system. Everything's pulling you in the wrong direction, like in a demonic direction. And so there's that. Like that's where we're at as a people right now. The other thing, too, is a commodity, and this is what I was talking about with Madam Expiration Date. Madonna and Will Smith were two big examples, but Alec Baldwin could be another person. Alex Jones, too, as well. People who need adoration or need input from groups of people. They want to stand in front of people and receive positive energy from them. People who, suck energy off of other people, vampires, succubuses, like whatever. Ghoulish people they need to be propped up energetically through fame and, fandom and adoration. Like that's a big thing now with social media. Their egos need to be fed in some way because, when you cut yourself off from the source, from God's love, then you are depleted. Like you no longer have this energy called prana. The Pranhuiti that's given the Sajmark system is the utilization of the divine energy for the transformation of man. This energy. They call it Jing in this acupuncture and Chinese medicine. You have this life energy, God's energy, divine love. And this love, it's like a creative force, and it has, it becomes something of, almost like a physical nature in some cases, right? In terms of like hormones like testosterone and estrogen and, these things. But it starts off as a very subtle energy. And when you're doing what your soul wants you to do and you're connected to the source and you're willingly connecting to God, you have this energy. But when people get like twisted in some way, and it's almost like they hate love. They don't like the way that love makes them feel because it disrupts their egoism. And so they start to, try to find ways of getting that energy through materiality, because there's God in everything. But it's, when you get it through physical possessions or through adoration, it's diluted. It's not the same thing. Like it's a grosser form of that energy. And you need to consume more and more of it. So you consume materialism to keep yourself going because you've unplugged yourself from the source, right? You need love. I always talk about this, how you can survive without food for like 40 days and for like without water for 3 days and without oxygen for 10 minutes and without love, not even a second. You need prana. You need this life force. It's what keeps you going. But if you disconnect yourself from your soul and from God, then the energy no longer is there. And so you have whatever you have, but even then you've blocked yourself from that energy, for the energy that you have left, and then you need more to keep on going. And so they look through materialism some way or another. and then you become highly inefficient, right? Love in its, its original form is, there's nothing there. It's like almost nothing, right? It's like the most subtle thing in the universe, and it's just there. It's like free energy, a free energy system. But like with everything with the demonic system, they found ways to, make it so there's this apparatus of bureaucracy to keep you from accessing what's freely given, right? What's the divine energy that's there that wants you to survive. Like you're here for a reason. Every creature has a pathway to fulfill its divine purpose, right? Its soul's path. And with that, you're going to be fed, and you're going to have a place to live, and you're going to be taken care of until you ultimately leave this planet, right? But you don't have to worry about these things because God's provided for you. So they found ways to make that, to create false scarcity and false deprivation. And it starts with disconnecting you from this divine energy, from God's love, right? To block this. And they use religion and they use, materiality to do this, and they create a false reality where you somehow have to find a way to get this energy that's just there freely given. And it gets to the point where people don't even want it. Like I talk about how it's available. Almost everybody in our systems love depleted. They don't have enough prana. Their energy is dimmed. They're just, you got so many people who are bankrupt and walking around like NPCs, and there's no life force there. They're just automatons. And there's a system, the meditation that I do, where this prana, this energy is given through this transmission. And people feel it in the videos. And even people who feel in the videos, and when I tell them what it is, they're like, they don't want to go and, get it from the source, right? Because it's not as good in the videos. The energy that's given, in the energy that people feel in these videos, they don't realize that you can have it in a pure form, even though they feel the energy in some capacity. They don't even, people are like trained in such a way to stop it from happening, like to create a situation where they won't access this energy, even when it's given freely in, ways that in previous times didn't exist. The Sajmarg meditation is a supercharged way to get the divine energy. So, that's how fucked it is. It's like, I heard this thing, I guess it turned out not to be true, but, emphysema, your lungs get trained to breathe smoke. Like people who have this, who get emphysema from smoking. Again, this turned out not to be true, but it's a good metaphor. Their body calls for the smoke, like they no longer call for fresh air. But you see this with people all the time, where they get addicted to something, and their body calls for the poison, for the toxin. They believe that the poison is the real thing, and their body adjusts to get nutrition from the poison, and then they go through a withdrawal phase when they have to get off the poison that's killing them and sucking away their life's energy. And so that's where we are as a species. So to think that there's some fucking bullshit political solution and the MAGA movement wrecked the conservative movement, it's like fucking stupid. Somebody, I'm looking through the comments here, one of my viewers wrote, the hold called is a 5150. That's the hold where they put you on a psychiatric hold. I don't know why I can't remember these things. 24-hour psych hold, or 72-hour psych hold. I had one called on me before. It sucks. After 72 hours, unless you have an adult agree to sign you out, they put you on a 5250 additional 72-hour hold. I'm thankful my friend Steve came to sign me out. They do pump you full of meds. They make the whole ordeal hard to remember. All I remember is making some people laugh there and meeting people who seem lonely and misunderstood. Like we live in such a fucked up world. Like it's just, I have a master's in counseling. I used to have to diagnose people with something from the DSM-4, back when I worked for it. Now it's the DSM-5. And, this is a big, thick book. And if you are going to get insurance payments from somebody, like if you like work for an agency and they're getting paid by Medicaid or something, and you're doing counseling, you have to diagnose the person with something. They have to have a medical condition. They have to have a psychological condition for insurance to pay. So, what I would say was called adjustment disorder. That means people are having trouble adjusting to something in life, right? Because if you give them a more severe diagnosis, again, like sometimes I had to do assessment, and I had to. There was the system. I mean, there's some truth in it, and so you can find behaviors that will fall under one diagnosis or another. But then you're labeled with that. You have that diagnosis, like it's part of your record. And now this is before the internet. This is back in the late '90s, early 2000s. That I worked in this field, and that person is labeled with that for the rest of their life. And now people can find that out, right? It's a diagnosis you don't get better from. But what I realized was that everybody is considered fucked up, right? Like there's something in the DSM-5 or 4, DSM-5 that applies to you. Like there's some diagnosis that can be given to you. And it's based in things you say and behaviors and the person's ability to read you and, to label you with something. And unlike physical diagnosis where it might have some science behind it. I mean, you think about all the misdiagnoses that happen in allopathic medicine. Well, think about how easy it is to misdiagnose somebody with psychological issues, right? It's much easier to fuck that thing up, right? To just make something up or whatever it might be. And then, you can be medicated and then you start having symptoms produced by the medication. I mean, certainly side effects from antidepressants and these other things. There's 200 different drugs that cause depression or suicidal ideation. And a lot of those drugs are drugs that are supposed to be helping you psychologically. And so then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so, but they can label you with something in the book. And that means that everybody in the world, everyone in America, everyone in the world, is potentially or has some kind of psychological issue. But there's nothing in the book that talks about how fucked up the system is and how this fucked up system makes you crazy. Because it has to make you crazy if 100% of the people are crazy. If 100% of the people have some kind of psychological issues, that means the system's fucked up, right? Like it used to be nobody had them. Like, there's one crazy person or whatever it might be. Some alcoholics and some people, in the tribe, in the village, people who are eccentric or whatever it was. But if you were crazy, you couldn't fucking survive. Like there's no homeless, there's no people, unless people were in some way, in a tribal situation, people would take care of somebody. But if you couldn't pull your weight, like you just didn't survive, right? Like there's no way to, you couldn't be low functioning. You couldn't be somebody who, you had to be able to work and contribute and, be lucid, right? You'd maybe have some bout of something or whatever. But people couldn't take care of you, right? Like if everyone was, they were, very seldom you'd have somebody that the tribe was willing to, to carry without them participating, right? And that came with physical issues as well, right? I think it was the Vikings. They would take, like, if they had a fucked up kid, if the baby was like somehow fucked up, they would just take it out, throw it on the rocks, or wait for a fucking predator to come get it, or some shit like that, right? Like they couldn't have something like that. They just, there's some genetic abnormality or some kind of issue, then you couldn't function. Then you couldn't function. You had to be able to, and it made you like have to get up and work every day. Like people's capacity for work was much greater than it is now because you had to contribute. But there's this thing called neurasthenia when electricity came into our situation in the form of a telegraph, where people started exhibiting all these nervous disorders and depression and things. And there's all the ways that our modern day system with fucked up energies, we're conductors of energy. We have electricity in our system. We have conductors of energy. And there's energy pulsating through our houses. NASA has that video I've talked about in the past. We're being bombarded by all these Wi-Fi's and, gamma rays and all these things. And so that's, negatively affecting everybody, right? In some way or another. And like, if you act in a way that's abnormal, which everybody does, everyone's fucked up, right? They're not living natural lives. They're like, oh, you're crazy. They slap you with a diagnosis and you're the fucking problem. But how can everybody be the problem? Like, the system is never to blame. And that's always what it's been. The system's great. Don't question the fucking system. You're a crazy conspiracy theorist, right? Like, they label you in one way or another. Anybody who questions a system that's fucking everybody up because everyone's fucked up, right? Based in the criteria of the DSM-5, the diagnoses. And then if you act too fucked up, they lock you up. And they drug the shit out of you. And so, you know, like this is the fucking system we have. Somebody wrote to my 2 videos ago where I featured Marco Rubio, and they said Marco Polo, which I is my whole. I forget my bits, so I gotta remember. But anyways, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramano definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.